Please welcome tonight's Advocacy Awards Chair, Mally Locke.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Easterseals Advocacy Award celebration. I have the privilege of chairing tonight's event as we honor and celebrate those who have meaningfully changed the world for people with and for people with disabilities. Feel free to get started on your delicious salads. It's a spring pea flan. Exactly. Very magnifique. You know how it is? This is a classy joint, right? Feel free to start having your meals and continue drinking some wine. And while your mouths are full and you can't respond to me, I'll give you a story. Years ago, when I first moved to DC, I moved here with my then 18-month-old son. Very quickly, we learned that my son's development was not right. He, at the age of 2, was still not speaking and using language. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to share my story here on the stage. In 2027, Beck was officially diagnosed with autism. And while I had experience with the community, I didn't know where to go, what child care center can work with children with special needs. Child care is as hard to find these days as it ever was, and especially harder when you have a child who has special needs. Someone told me about Easterseals while we were floundering and trying to figure out our way forward. And we were able to very quickly get an appointment to do a site visit, and within minutes, Beck was enrolled in Easterseals childcare, where he received speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, ABA, and he worked in concert with typically developing peers, which modeled the sort of social and developmental and emotional milestones that he needed to reach. Beck started at Easterseals nonverbal. That meant that while he used a couple of words here or there, he didn't interact with you. If you were to meet Beck now, indeed, if you'd seen him on stage in 2023, you would have seen a talkative, brave, energetic, lively, happy, and well-adjusted young man. At 10 years old right now, Beck is at a 6th grade level in reading, and, say yes. And over the last few months, he's made over close to 3 years progress in math with additional supports. Early intervention and additional support services work. We had a transformational experience with Beck, and we think all families should have that opportunity too, no matter where you come from, no matter the need of the child. And we found that at Easterseals. We are so blessed to be a part of this community, and we've been a part of this community for years now. Tonight, we are trying to make sure that every family who needs Easterseals can get access to it. My story is just one of the thousands of stories happening every single day from Fairfax up to Hagerstown, to Columbia Heights, to Arlington, with all of our families and our children. Easterseals is a community, a real community, made up of families, staff, and you, our donors, advocates, sponsors, friends, loved ones. This has been one of the most difficult fundraising environments that our organization has seen, that many nonprofit organizations have seen, frankly. And in a time of lots of uncertainty, we need to have anchors like Easterseals that people can come home to. And so, tonight, we want to acknowledge some of those who have helped with this amazing fundraising event, and thank you again so much for joining us tonight. This has been such a pleasure to be a part of this. First, our inspiration sponsors, Bank of America and Greenberg Traurig. Our independent sponsors next, who are all listed out on the screen, and many of them have been sponsors for many years. The rest of our sponsors and donors are all listed in the books that were on your chair and that you also see reflected on the screens throughout tonight's dinner. Now, we'll start with the show, but I want you to know something. We are so close to meeting our goal. We are just $125,000 from reaching our goal tonight. We can do this. There are over 400 people in this room belonging to many different companies who probably will match your donation. So tonight, I'm going to make the first one. I'm going to put my hand up and say, I'm going to make a donation of $500,000. Ooh. $500,000 pesos. $500. Sorry about that. I got very excited, apparently. Which my company will match several times over, making a total of $3,000. So now we're at $122,000 that we need to raise. There are cards and QR codes and donation cards at your table. Of course, you can feel free to reach out to our staff, board members, anyone else. We will take it, your donations, your time, and your energy, and most importantly, your community and your generosity. And now, I'd like to introduce Easterseals CEO, John Harwich.
Thank you, Nellie. Thank you, Nellie, and good evening to all of you. Thank you for being here tonight and for your support of Easterseals. For over 100 years, Easterseals has provided direct services in education, physical and mental health, and employment, all to make sure we have a strong community. Our programs benefit people like Paul, who's a Navy veteran who lost his business and feared that he wouldn't be able to support his family until he got help from Easterseals. Today, Paul has a meaningful career and is filled with hope for the future. I'm excited about this evening because it's a wonderful celebration of those who help us achieve our mission. And I just want to take a moment to really recognize some of them. So our board of directors and our emeritus board are really a testament to the mission. Board and emeritus board, please stand if you're able and wave to be recognized. These are the volunteer leaders who make Easterseals strong. And as Mally said, it's not an easy time to be a volunteer leader at a nonprofit organization in these challenging times, so I really appreciate all of you. And our honorary board and ambassador committee include a lot of individuals who lend their prominence and their platforms to make more people aware of Easterseals services. And so I really want to thank all of them tonight as well. And then I want to thank our chair, Mally, who you just heard from, and our vice chair, Larry Dorita, from Bank of America, as well as our honorary chairs, Admiral Michael Gilday and Linda Gilday. They've been instrumental in really spreading the word about our services, and I hope and believe that that's why everybody is here tonight and supporting us, so thank you. I really appreciate all of you. I also want to take a moment because I'm really pleased to say that we have Kendra Davenport here with us this evening, and she's the CEO of the National Office of Easterseals. And her leadership and commitment to the more than 70 affiliates like us enable us to really provide critical services that children, adults, veterans, and their families need. And she's an amazing leader, and I appreciate her partnership. And last but not least, I really want to take a moment to celebrate our incredible staff, because they are the backbone of our organization. So can they all, staff, please stand up. Come on, guys, stand up, be recognized. Don't be shy. Come on, there's more. All right, well, some of them are shy. They are true servant leaders, as you'll hear. And, you know, these are people who every day are putting in the hardest effort to make sure that stories like Mally's happen, that families get the services they need to really thrive in the community. And tonight we're going to recognize one of our amazing rock star staff with the Robert S. Wilson Leadership Award. And this is our highest employee recognition, and it's presented to the team member who really demonstrates the enhancement of the impact of Easterseals and shows how just one person can make a big difference. And believe me, it was hard to pick even 3 finalists, and it was really hard to pick the one final winner, but I'm going to share a little quick story about the 3 finalists. So we have Liz Ballard, and Liz is a recruiter in the Veterans Staffing Network. And she supports and inspires the veterans and military spouses that she is working with. She's more than a recruiter, she's really a coach helping them transition to civilian careers. And her colleagues really appreciate that she's the backbone of the team. She fosters an environment where everyone feels valued and ensures that hiring is more than just about filling a role. You know, it's really helping build relationships and create opportunities. Angela Looper is our payroll specialist in the finance department. And there are many stories of Angela taking time to really take individual care and attention to make sure our employees don't have to worry, even when she's on vacation. She's truly dedicated. And then Dolores Thomas is a food manager at our Early Head Start Center in DC. And she not only makes sure all the meals are nutritious, served on time at the appropriate temperature, safe, but she happily supports however the center needs her. She'll go into classrooms and, you know, just be a source of love for the children as they enter and exit the building. So her can-do attitude and her dependability make her a tremendous asset to the team and all of the colleagues who rely upon her in Easterseals Head Start. And so now I am pleased to present the 2025 Leadership Award recipient, Angela Looper. And as Angela makes her way to the stage, I'm going to share just one example of how Angela meets challenges head on. And I could tell you a million stories, but recently we had a new employee who signed up for direct deposit, but on payday, their money didn't show up. And Angela discovered that the payroll system issued a check, and she wanted that employee to feel valued, and she knew it was important for them to get their money, and she went out and personally delivered that check to make sure that they would feel cared for and respected. So thank you, Angela. Congratulations. Your smile for the camera. Thank you, Angela. And, you know, really because of her dedication, our direct care staff can concentrate on serving clients and meeting the needs of our families. And that's what you're going to see in this video.
My name is Lauren, and I live with cerebral palsy. I live independently in a group house. I've been there ever since I was 21 years old, and now I'm 41. 1 year old. I look forward to each day at the Easterseals Center.
Lauren has attended Easterseals Adult Medical Daycare for over 3 years. When she comes in each day, we make sure that she feels welcomed. It's really exciting to see her expand her social activities. Those are things that she wasn't open to doing when she first started.
I'm very sociable, and I interact with every person, every client, every staff in here. Easterseals is like a family to me.
Two activities that Lauren really thrives with are bingo and art. When it's time for bingo, she's at the table and ready.
660.
Our job is to make sure that everyone leaves here having had a full day and that they leave with a smile.
The idea of the beauty salon came from me and my massage therapist. You never seen a spa or beauty salon that is wheelchair accessible. I remember one time we were trying to get my feet done and they could not accommodate me. It is frustrating.
Lauren sees a challenge and figures out a way to overcome it. She's identified a lack of services for herself, and she's turned that into an opportunity. Any way we can help her to do that, we're happy to help. We are an advocate for Lauren as she advocates for herself.
Life can be challenging, and yes, Easterseals has been there for me, and I'm very grateful for that. It brings me great joy to know that I have a lot of support.
Lauren has developed a business plan for her spa, and it's inspiring. Lauren reminds our staff that all of our participants have the ability to achieve their dreams. Our job is to help them get there.
If anyone would like to invest in my salon, call me. I'll be happy to talk to you. I will make the world a better place, especially for the disability community. We are human, just like everyone else.
Good evening. I'm Marta Wilson, an Easterseals board member and owner of the LEAP enterprise. I also founded Transformation Systems, recently acquired by my good friend Sean James, who's here tonight. Thank you for your sponsorship, Sean and TSI. As a workplace psychologist, I founded LEAP to help everyone summon their superpowers, and that's one reason I'm so passionate about Easterseals. Easterseals enables people to harness their superpowers and be their very best. Easterseals Adult Day Services is a perfect example. As we saw in Lauren's story, clients have big dreams. Easterseals helps them discover their superpowers and achieve those dreams. Easterseals does life-changing work, but we can't do any of this work without you. Tonight, we have a big goal. As we heard before, raising $125,000. I, along with LEAP's president and CEO, Janelle Millard, want to support this goal with a match. If everyone here collectively pledges $50,000 collectively, the LEAP enterprise will match that tonight. Together we can hit that goal. It's very easy to donate. Just scan that QR code in your program or complete the Fund to Need card at your table. Every donation, no matter how big or small, helps. It helps ensure that more people like Lauren can find a community of love and support and achieve their dreams. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your contributions. Now I'm pleased to introduce tonight's Advocacy Awards Vice Chair, Larry DeRita. Larry.
Thank you very much, Marta, and it's terrific to be here tonight. I'm Larry DeRita. I lead the Bank of America team here in Washington, D.C. I do want to, it's a terrific privilege to be here tonight. I want to acknowledge, I see the lights, my teammates who are here from Bank of America and Merrill for being here tonight. Thank you very much for that. I also want to, it's a great privilege to be part of something that involves so much military, and I've seen so many terrific military leaders in the audience. I spent a great deal of time in the United States Navy prior to my current career, and it was a beloved part of my life, and it's always going to be, and I thank you. I thank the military leaders who are here tonight with us. After I left the Navy, I was pleased to work on Capitol Hill for a while, perhaps less beloved, but it was still a terrific place to work and an honor to be up there. I also want to acknowledge tonight's success, and we've heard a little bit about it from Molly and Marta, wouldn't be possible without the entire committee, and it was a great committee that did a lot of work for tonight. If I could ask the committee members to stand up and be recognized, and let's recognize them. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, here in Washington, we're used to change. There's a change in the air, change in priorities, change in programs. That's what happens. There's a change in government, and we expect that, and that's the way our system operates. We're all going to adjust to new priorities and new programs. But throughout all of that, you need to see some consistency. It's comforting, and it's important to see that kind of stability. And as John mentioned, Easterseals has been a source of that stability here in the DMV for nearly 100 years, a steady source of education, health, respite, employment support for our community. And you're making all of that possible tonight with what you've done to make tonight's event so successful, and for so many families, including Sean's, whose son is enrolled in Easterseals Head Start. We saw Dolores, one of the nominees for the employer working on the Head Start program. Sean and his wife are able to work because Head Start allows them to have high-quality education for their children. It's a really important program and an important way that Easterseals serves the DMV. That, in turn, that program will make it easier for Sean's families, for the children to graduate from high school and provide for their future families. So it pays itself forward, and all of the support you provide helps make that possible. So thank you all for being here tonight and contributing your time and treasure to this important work. I agreed to do tonight's event because I've seen the impact of the Easterseals DC in the DMV, but also because we're honoring one of the truly wonderful people in our capital city. And we all know him as an impressive government leader, and we'll hear about that. But above all else, Dave Hoppe, tonight's Judy Heumann Community Advocate Award recipient, is someone who embodies the same qualities of service, commitment, and perseverance as the woman whose name is on the award. Judy Heumann was known as the mother of the disability rights movement. Her advocacy began as a fight for her own future. As a child, she was denied admission to school because officials deemed her wheelchair to be a fire hazard. Those were different times, we know that, and her life of persistence created a more accessible world for millions of people. She helped establish the principle, quite simply, that disability rights are human rights. Yeah, thank you very much. Judy has a direct tie to Dave, and Dave's our honoree tonight because she recognized when this happened, Dave's role in the reauthorization of the landmark Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and Dave may have been the most important person in helping get that done. It was my great honor to be in the Senate, one of the many Senate staffers in the late 1990s who worked under Dave's tutelage and mentorship. I saw Candy Wolf here. She was up there when we were up there, last year's honoree. It is also a treat to introduce another former fellow Senate staffer back then who, like Dave, went on to continue in high public service. So to present tonight's Judy Heumann Community Advocate Award to Dave Hoppe, please welcome the 54th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable Paul Ryan.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Thank you, Larry. I just want to make sure all the Senate people around here knows that Dave Hoppe started his career in the House and he finished his career in the House with a little booking in between for the United States Senate. We just always have to trash talk both sides of the rotunda. But it is just a great pleasure to be here. I want to thank you for that kind introduction, Larry. And first and foremost, I want to thank everyone who's associated with the Easterseals organization, the sponsors and the supporters, all the staff that made this evening possible. Thank you very much for all that you've done to make this night possible. We really appreciate it. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm grateful for the chance to say a few words about tonight's recipient of the 2025 Judy Human Community Advocate Award, my friend Dave Hoppe. Dave, I want to thank you for the opportunity to help celebrate this lifetime of service that you have given all of us, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you and your family tonight. Now, I had the pleasure of knowing this man, Dave Hoppe, for 3 decades. I first met him as the former chief of staff to then my boss, Jack Kemp. Dave Hoppe was revered in Kemp world as a man of tremendous character. He was held in such high regard because he possessed a strong moral compass, a firm set of principles, and he had this inner confidence that came from decades of living in accordance with his Christian faith. And beyond being a great person, Dave was a fantastic chief of staff to not just me, but many other legislators. He was so well regarded by both sides of the aisle on Capitol Hill as he had been for years. And so you have this combination of a person with gravitas, intelligence, and a policy acumen that has also made him a tremendous advocate for the people with disabilities. And when it came time to advocating for those communities on Capitol Hill, Dave Hoppe was a force of nature. When Congress debated legislation like the ABLE Act, his personal experience, it opened hearts, it opened minds, and it led to better public policy. You know, at a time when politics can be divisive and messy, Dave Hoppe brought compassion and empathy to our debates. His dedication to helping others through public policy was both genuine and authentic. Simply put, it was inspiring. And more than any person that I have ever met, Dave Hoppe lives the values that Easterseals prides itself on. He treats everyone with respect. He mentored a generation of young staffers like myself. He assisted new lawmakers to find their voices and to find their footing, and he always lent an ear to people advocating for their cause. Dave cares for others. I always admired that. By day, Dave would help me lead the legislative branch, which is kind of a messy thing these days. And by night, without fail, Dave would return home and care for his family. His priorities were always right. And that's a rare thing in today's Washington. He operates with integrity. When I took over as Speaker, which some of you may know, it was not something I was planning. It was very quick, it was very sudden, it was very unplanned. And I knew I needed immediately to set up a brand new speakership in the middle of a session. I needed somebody who had respect, who knew the legislative branch inside and out, and who had a servant's heart. I knew there was only one phone call and one phone call only that I was going to make, and that was Dave Hoppe. I'm grateful that he came and served with me, and I found so much more than just those qualities with Dave. More than anything, Dave Hoppe feels responsible for those people around him. He believes that every person should be loved, cared for, accepted, given the chance to lead a life of purpose and opportunity. And that's why I'm so grateful that Easterseals has chosen him to honor Dave with the Judy Human Community Advocate Award. Dave's changed so many lives through his advocacy with his Easterseals involvement. There are people in this room whose lives are better because of Dave Hoppe. And there are even more people around this country who will never know Dave, but whose lives will be better because of his dedication to those in need. But rather than simply taking my word for it, I thought we should hear from someone who knows Dave best. That's his son, Greg. Greg Hoppe, come on up here if you don't mind. Now, you know your dad better than anyone. And before we call him up here on stage to give him this amazing award, is there anything you'd like to say about your dad?
Well, my dad is great, so he taught me to ride a bike, and my dad taught me how to play baseball. My dad took me to fun ice game.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Everybody, please join me and Greg in welcoming to the stage the 2025 Judy Human Community Advocate Award winner, Dave Hoppe.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the speaker for his overly kind words. When I first met him, he was, as he said, working for Jack Kemp, and I worked several years for Jack Kemp when he was in the House and when he was running his presidential campaign. And I looked right here, and I looked at the schedule, and John puts a pretty tight schedule together. At 7:18 and 30 seconds, this happens. 7:22 and 12 seconds, this happens. But it looks like I've got a little time to play with here. And it reminded me of a time I went with Jack on a campaign swing, and we did a luncheon speech during the week in Fargo, North Dakota. And Jack got 25 minutes in, and everybody's sort of anxious because they got to get back to work. And he says, I'm going to make one more point. And 55 minutes later, he finished the speech. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to talk about Judy Human. I had the great opportunity to work very closely with Judy when we did the IDEA reauthorization in 1997. And she was someone who helped keep my spirits up as we went through. We went through about 3 or 4 months of the staff working together, and every Friday we would have meetings where anybody who wanted to come and testify could come and testify. And we'd spend 6, 7, 8 hours a day listening to them on that Friday. And there were times when it got a little tough. And sure enough, next week, I'd get a call from Judy saying, it's all right. We're okay here. We're doing fine. She was a senior political person at the education department. And so you could feel it coming through. She didn't come to all the meetings because she had a whole bunch of people who worked for her who did that. But there was, every time I needed to be bucked up, there was a call, there was an email, there was something from Judy saying, we're all right, we're going to get there, this is going to work out, don't worry, we're all together in this. And it was my great honor to have worked with her. And one other thing I'll mention, at the White House signing ceremony for the bill, as they got together after the president made his remarks and others made their remarks, the president got around the table and all the legislators and the guests who were invited to be a part of this process got there and sat around the table as the president got ready to sign it. And through this whole thing, I could hear this voice going, Dave, Dave, Dave. And it was Judy, and she just, come on. And I wasn't about to move in on the president's signing. As much as I like Judy, I wasn't about to do that. So then she got the Secretary of Education to say, come on. So finally she got President Clinton to say, I figure if the president invites you to the table, you're fine to go. So Greg and I were able to go up there and get a picture of the bill being signed. So that was a great moment, I think, for people who really needed the type of help and schooling that the federal government could give under this program. And I know it was a great thing for my son, Greg. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity and the honor of this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Congratulations. Great. Congratulations. Don't forget your award.
Yeah. So, everybody, please, dinner. Have some dinner. Enjoy.
Please welcome to the stage Secretary of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Douglas Collins.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has enjoyed the meal so far. For those that have prepared this meal and those that have been serving us, I think we owe them a round of applause. I stand before you tonight not only as the Secretary of the VA, but also I stand before you as one who's been touched by Easterseals in our life. My wife is with me tonight, Miss Lisa, and over 33 years ago, we had the great privilege and joy to bring into this world a young girl named Jordan. Jordan came into this world a little bit different than others. In fact, she has spina bifida. Jordan is in a wheelchair, and for 33 years we have watched her overcome what some would say is a disability. We say is something that is simply God-given in a life that is lived well. Easterseals and what you do and how you help others understand that disabilities are simply life's challenges taken on with help from others. I have wished that many times in my life that I had the, optimism of Jordan. I wish I had the heart of Jordan. I wish I had the outlook that no matter what may come, she still looks at me and she says, "Daddy, I love you," as she gets up and she goes to work every morning at 7 o'clock on her bus and goes and works a full-time job as a receptionist at the local hospital. Most of us don't like to get up early in the morning. For Jordan, it takes a little bit longer. For you giving through Easterseals and taking time to help families who are going through those times, it makes a big difference. Because the lives that you touch through Easterseals and the lives that you touch of those who others say are disabled are really simply giving life and breath to those that are always able to shine and grow. And then again, I stand here tonight as the VA Secretary with the privilege of serving the most special group of people in the world. Our organization has one focus and one focus alone, and over the past few years, there's times in which this organization has grown tremendously, and many of you may have heard about that. But there's been something that I've been doing now for almost 3 months, and that is refocusing the VA, not as an organization, not as a body, not as 170 hospitals, and an organization that is larger than the active duty Army. I've been telling us and reminding us of one thing, that the VA is a service organization that is designed for one thing, and it is to take care of our veterans. It's to take care of the men and women who have served us. And when we take care of the men and women who have served us, then we're taking care of the country that has also birthed those men and women who have actually come before and been a part. And we have many military leaders in this room tonight, many veterans in this room. I commit to you this, as long as President Trump has given me the opportunity, and as long as I'm in this seat, I will guarantee you one thing: there will not be another day in at least my time in which the VA is not focused on making sure that the veteran has the benefits that they have earned and the health care that this country has promised them. I've learned a lot being the VA Secretary. Also, it was a good time tonight to see my dear friend and one of my speakers, Paul Ryan. I learned from Dave and him what it means to be true public servants, to actually put public policy into actual practice. So with you being here tonight, let me just tell you, as we look ahead, Easterseals and the VA are proud partners together. We're proud partners to take care of our military families and take care of the homes that they come from and take care of them when they need issues resolved. You see, when you give to Easterseals, you give to more than what you may think. You may touch a family that is struggling with one of their loved ones who is struggling with PTSD. or traumatic brain injury, or just not fitting back in when they get out of the service. You see, getting out of the service is simply a time of transition, and it's a time now that many are struggling with. So when we come together as partners with Easterseals, the VA takes on that role, and we take on with pride knowing that we have partners such as Easterseals, and you should be proud tonight as you give to be a part of a program that actually helps not only our veterans, but our veterans' families and our caregivers. So you see, sometimes you never know what you get talked about when you get to give a speech, and a speech like this. You never know that how can the VA and a dad who is a proud parent of a little girl in a wheelchair who still texts her daddy every morning and says she loves him. You know, when you do that, the world seems a little bit softer. The world seems a little bit kinder. And your generosity to those who sometimes may not have the voice that you have actually makes this world better. Now, I am honored to welcome the honorary co-chairs of the 2025 Easterseals Advocacy Awards, the 32nd Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Mike Gilday, and his wife, Linda.
Good evening. On the drive-in tonight, I could tell it was both a hockey game and a baseball game in Washington. But we are in the right place. So thank you. Linda and I are honored to be here to recognize the life-changing work of Easterseals, especially for our veterans. Transitioning to civilian life is extremely difficult for many of our service members. The change in environment, the responsibilities, and the lifestyle can be overwhelming, and it can lead to challenges both emotionally and practically. One of the hardest aspects of this transition is finding the right support for our loved ones who might be coping with issues such as anxiety and depression. Navigating the healthcare system to find timely and appropriate care can be frustrating and sometimes disheartening. Too often, military families encounter obstacles like unavailable appointments, insurance complications, and sometimes non-responsive providers.
So I would like to share a little story about a family who I know who was really struggling to find care for their family member. And like some of you might have experienced, you wait and you call and you wait and you wait, and then you wait for them to call back, and then you wait another month or two till the appointment can be made if you're lucky. And in this case, she repeatedly, this mom hit the wall, and she was just out of solutions. But she happened to hear from somebody who had a chance to go to one of the briefings that we have as military spouses, and she remembered the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic, the family clinic. She remembered hearing about them. And lo and behold, she called and received a call right back, and they said, how can we help? And that just made the world of difference to her family member who had been struggling with not only anxiety but depression as well. And I have the great privilege of telling you that the director of that clinic is here tonight, Grace Caulfield. Yay! So Grace and her amazing staff break down barriers, and they really help those that really have mental health challenges, and that's something that we all know people that struggle with. So the work is vital, and we just appreciate your work. Easterseals is the organization that helps offer these essential services, and every dollar that you and we, both individually and as corporate citizens, contribute helps fund these amazing programs.
The reach and the life-changing work of Easterseals would not be impossible without the incredible partnerships from both our government and other numerous organizations. Partnerships are essential to the furthering of their mission because they combine the resources, the expertise, and the networks that actually drive meaningful change. This year's Corporate Advocate Award honors one of Easterseals' vital partners, Greenberg Traurig, an international law firm of nearly 3,000 attorneys in 49 different locations. Greenberg Traurig is committed to the principle that all persons are entitled to equal access to justice. They are the doers that help create a more equitable society.
In fact, Greenberg Traurig's Scott Meza, who's here tonight, is a member of Easterseals board. Stand up. Governance and Head Start committees, and he furthers the firm's commitment to equitable access of high-quality educational opportunities and for all of their families. Greenberg Traurig also helped Easterseals and its staff with pro bono legal support, work, and it helps support the growth of the Easterseals Veteran Staffing Network by hosting events to introduce corporate clients.
So tonight, it is our honor to present the Corporate Advocate Award to Greenberg Traurig. And here to accept the award their esteemed co-president, Ernest Lamont Greer. Ernest.
You know, some people say that as a litigator, I should never be nervous about speaking in front of a room. And I was telling people that every time I do it, I'm nervous. And I asked my wife one day, well, why am I nervous? She said, I don't know. And I think I finally figured it out. And that is that whenever I have an opportunity to speak before a room like this amazing, beautiful room, people who are doing the things in life, professionally, striving, ambitious, trying to be impactful, you know it's a privilege to stand before a room like this, particularly one that's surrounded by champions of change, champions of advocacy, and champions of hope. But tonight, we come together not to just honor individuals, and we are very proud as Greenberg Traurig to receive this award. But we also must focus on the fact that we come tonight to honor an idea. And that idea is that every human being deserves the opportunity to live, learn, work, and play in their community. And so I want to thank you all for having me this evening. I want to thank you all for putting up with me for the next 4 or 5 minutes. I will try to be brief, and I want to start by thanking Admiral and Linda Gilday for that kind introduction and for their service to our nation, to our world. You know, your leadership, Admiral, reminds us of the power of purpose and the impact one person can have when they dedicate their life to making this world better and safer for others. And we know that with every good man and every impactful man, there is a more impactful and a better and stronger woman carrying and supporting those efforts. I know that my wife, Patrice, who I've had the pleasure of dating since I was 17 years old and being married to for more than 35 years. I met her on the first day of undergrad. She's not able to be with us this evening. But, you know, this evening is not just about Greenberg Charter. This evening is also about the celebration of the remarkable honorees who exemplify what it means to be advocates for others. I had the pleasure of meeting Jerome Mingus and his lovely wife, Amy, and I will tell you that I had the opportunity to read up, and your work uplifts and empowers the men and women who sacrifice so much for our country. Dave Hoppe, your lifelong dedication to advancing the rights of people with disabilities is a legacy that will inspire generations to come. Both your stories, your actions, and your passions are what make our world brighter and more just. You remind us that advocacy isn't just a word, it's a call to action. On behalf of our law firm, Greenberg Trarek, our attorney staff, and more than 5,000 families worldwide, I am deeply honored to accept the Corporate Advocate Award tonight. You know, this award is not just a reflection of our work as a firm, but a testament to the power of partnership and the difference we can make when we continue to come together for a common cause. The thing I love about Greenberg Charter, where I've been for more than 25, 26 years, is that we understand the true meaning of advocacy. You see, as lawyers, we are trained to fight for our clients. But what I love about Greenberg Trarek is that we're not just lawyers, we are people. And as people, we believe our responsibility goes far beyond the courtroom, far beyond negotiations on transactional matters. And in fact, we are driven by a core value that has been with us since our founding in 1967. And that core value is a deep commitment and obligation to serving the communities in which we live and the communities in which we work. You see, we believe that every child, every adult, every veteran, and every senior deserves the chance to reach their full potential regardless of their abilities or circumstances. This belief isn't just something we say. In fact, it's who we are. We like to say it's in our firm and our colleagues' DNA. And there's no better example than that than Admiral Gilday and Linda mentioning our colleague, Scott Mesa, Regional Chair of our corporate practice. Scott, in every sense of the word, embodies the spirit of service. Scott's tireless commitment to community and to Easterseals as a former chair of the board and a member of the Head Start community has not only strengthened the partnership between our organizations, but has also impacted countless lives. And as I said, behind every great man is a great woman, and I want to acknowledge Scott's wife, Annie, who provides the foundation for Scott to be great and to do community. Scott, I just want to tell you, because over the years you and I have become close, I want to share with you that in all respects, you inspire all of us. Your compassionate leadership and purposeful leadership, your commitment to those who are not in the room and those who may not have been heard makes us all better. And I thank you for all your contributions to Greenberg Trarek, and I thank you for your commitment to community. And it was through Scott, quite frankly. Because as a firm, we have 49 different offices across the world. We believe that local community matters. And in fact, we believe that that's where we do our great work. And so as a big firm, we have to have advocates who bring opportunities to the firm. And I will say to you that Scott Mesa was the driver of us and our relationship with Easterseals. And it was through Scott that we came to understand fully and completely that we share the same mission in many respects with Easterseals. Easterseals, for over 100 years, have been a beacon of inclusion, accessibility, and empowerment, breaking down barriers that hold people back and building bridges to opportunity. Whether it's supporting early childhood development, providing employment training, empowering military families, or advocating for policy change, Easterseals has shown what it means to believe in the potential of every human being. You remind us that every person, regardless of ability, deserves to live with dignity, independence, and purpose. And through your work, you don't just change lives, you transform. We heard from Lauren. Amazing story. And I will tell you, we all need to dig in our pockets and figure out how we invest in Lauren's dream. Because that's what Easterseals is about. Giving people the opportunity to have dreams, to achieve, regardless of their circumstances. So, tonight, let's be reminded that progress is not achieved alone. It requires collaboration. Businesses such as Greenberg Traurig and Easterseals, nonprofits, governments, and individuals, all united by the belief that change is possible and that every life is worth investing in. We know that when Greenberg Traurig works together with partners like Easterseals, we can build a future where no one is left behind and where every person can strive. As we celebrate the work of Easterseals tonight, let us also recommit ourselves to the cause. Let us be inspired by the stories we heard, such as Lauren's, the honorees we celebrated, and the vision we all share, a world where every person is valued, included, and empowered. Thank you for the incredible work you do and for honoring Greenberg Traurig with this award. We are grateful for this partnership, and we look forward to continuing to walk this path with you. And thank you to everyone in this room for your support, your commitment, and your belief in the power of advocacy. Together we are making a difference, and together we will continue to build a better, more inclusive world. We humbly accept this award. We know there is much more to do, and we stand with Easterseals in accomplishing their mission. Thank you.
Cook was born 5 weeks early. I had a pretty easy delivery. And then it was, I guess, 3 hours into his life, and I looked down and he wasn't nice and pink anymore. And I called the nurse over and I said, I really don't think he's breathing. So she hit a button on the wall, and then all of a sudden everything changed. Every time he falls asleep, he stops breathing, whether it's at nap time or whether it's at home at night.
Typical treatment, especially for a child his age, is a tracheostomy. Cook has a trach and has to utilize a ventilator.
One of the things when you are ventilator dependent is you must be monitored when you're on the ventilator. That means someone has to be awake whenever Cook is asleep. When we all go to bed, who's going to watch him?
Cook was in the hospital for a total of 124 days. All you want to do is get home, but also it's terrifying because you no longer have the assistance of medical professionals around you 24/7 around him.
We were so thankful to bring him home, but then what do? We had him on daycare lists all over our neighborhood. We can't send a child on a ventilator, a brand new baby, to a regular daycare facility. We called around and couldn't find anyone to take him. I really didn't know what to do. Your shoulders are just permanently raised. You can never relax all the way.
Finding childcare for a medically complex kid is a daunting experience. Lori and I, between the two of us, have 4 degrees, as educated as we are, and as well as we thought, we knew the system and government assistance and all the things. It was still incredibly difficult to find our way to Easterseals.
Until we found Easterseals, doors really kept closing. We exhausted other options, other childcare centers, nanny agencies, everything like that. There was no other childcare options for us. Easterseals was the only childcare facility in the District of Columbia that we found that would take Cook.
from the moment we walked in the door. It was just such a welcoming environment, and like there was never a pause or a moment of doubt, from any folks that work here. It was always good, more than welcome here.
We've been told no so many times. So, I kept waiting for the no. It's not a little issue, it's his breathing, right? And so you can't not monitor him. You can't not, pay attention.
The teachers here have always been so eager and open to learning how to manage his trach and the ventilator and the pulse oximeter and, everything else that comes along with the suction machine.
It took months of him being enrolled and coming to Easterseals every day for my shoulders to finally go down.
Cook, it has just exploded in his speech and his, in his confidence. And I think today he went down the slide
for the first time.
The first time here. It's stuff like that. He's riding, a little bike that they have.
Yeah, he would never do that before.
Without Easterseals, he would not be having those experiences.
I cannot overstate the warmth that is here in this building and the care and the love that just oozes. We're just so thankful for Easterseals and everything they have done for not only Cook, but our entire family.
Please welcome Easterseals Board Chair, Kim Clark-Paxtis.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening and for taking the time out of and actually navigating the traffic to get here was a big challenge. So we appreciate that, and I really appreciate everybody sticking through and being here with us. Cook's story is really incredible, and it's impressive that every day parents like Kyle and Lori who need help, instead of hearing the word no, having doors closed to them, can come to Easterseals and have those doors open. And you can help us continue to do that. You can help us to continue to enrich the lives of those people who need our help and our support, whether it's a child with complex needs in search of a safe place to learn and grow, or a military veteran who needs help finding a job and providing for their family. Or someone like Emil, who was recovering from a stroke in a group home where he was isolated and his condition deteriorated. Once he started attending Easterseals Adults Day services, Emil made friends, and more importantly, he made progress in his recovery. Simply put, this organization saves lives. It provides dignity, respite, and care, not just for the people that we serve, but for their caregivers as well. So I invite every single person to see the QR code there. I've got one here. You've got them on your tables, and give what you can. We know that your donation stays here to better our community. This community is going through some stressful times, and it's important that we support that. And we've mentioned this throughout the night, but supporting Easterseals is really easy. We've got ways in which you can fund the need. If the QR code isn't working, take a picture, take it home, try it again. It works. Scan that card into your program or fill out the Fund the Need card. So again, if you can't use the Fund the Need card, there's a table card you can write on. You can take your program home. There is no way that you can't help Fund the Need this evening. And thanks to Leap Enterprise, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar. Mally has her additional match. So many, many ways in which your donation will be amplified through the work that we're doing here. And if you can't make a donation, consider volunteering. Our community is rich not only by the donors, but by the people who remain active and participants in Easterseals. Join us. Be a doer. And thank you. Now please welcome Reggie Robinson of BAE Systems, who will present the Military Family Advocate Award. Welcome, Reggie.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly an honor to be with you this evening, representing BAE Systems and the great men and women of 40,000 across the United States of America. I have the pleasure and honor to introduce this evening General James Mingus and his wife Amy. Although amongst the group here in this room, I'm sure you're already familiar with their leadership and their generosity. General Mingus became the 39th Vice Chief of Staff of the Army in January of 2024. With an active duty career that spans over 4 decades, he has been an advocate for the complete health of our troops, championing both the physical and mental fitness. He is an outspoken supporter of holistic health and fitness for all military members. And if you think leading the Army is difficult, you should talk to his wife, Amy, who leads the youth programs at TAPS. TAPS is a tragedy assistance program for survivors, and they work in partnership with Easterseals. And if you're not familiar with TAPS, it is the team that supports, guides, and comforts the families of fallen heroes, not just in the hours, days, and weeks after the loss of a loved one, but also for all the time that is required for that support. It's a true testament to the strength and compassion that Amy brings to our military family. Together, the work of the Minguses and what they do support our military, and it mirrors the work at Easterseals. They are fierce advocates for mental health, to include their support to the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Easterseals, where they provide mental health counseling, medical care, addiction treatment, as well as behavioral health care for primarily post-9/11 veterans and active duty members, National Guard, and Reserve Service members, their families, and their caregivers. These efforts also support military members and their families as they reintegrate into society, find jobs, and receive mental and health services that they require. The Mingus' commitment to these causes also intersect with BAE Systems' support of Easterseals. We support the members as they transition to civilian life, promote STEM activities in child care centers around the country, and we advance and support mental health programs. So through the tireless efforts of the Minguses, they have influenced both public awareness, advanced accessibility initiatives, and empowered countless individuals and their families to overcome barriers. It is with my pleasure to be able to bring the Minguses up here tonight, as they are honored for good reason with the Easterseals Family Advocate Award. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage now.
Okay. In good Army style, how's everybody doing tonight? Jim, you doing all right? My Ranger buddy over here. Well, Reggie, thank you very much for the very humbling and kind introduction. As the team and I tried to kind of figure out how to open this thing, do we do a joke, do an icebreaker? And then my wonderful wife, beautiful wife of 30 years, looked at me and goes, Jim, you know, if you're not funny, don't tell jokes. See, I got a little bit of a laugh. But we are honored to be here tonight. Not because of anything we've done, but because of what this award stands for. It embodies the simple idea that military families, veterans, and caregivers deserve more than our respect. They deserve community and our commitment. Amy has always understood this better than anyone I know. She reminds me often that the strongest communities don't happen by accident. They're built through steady, everyday presence. And that supporting military families starts with our daily choices. The choice to embrace rather than overlook, to ask instead of assume, to stay when walking away would be easier. It's the difference between saying, thank you for your service, and actually creating space for that service in our communities, our schools, our workplaces, and our neighborhoods. We've been lucky to see that kind of care in action. Families who made space for others in the middle of their own hardships, veterans who started over after life took a hard turn, and caregivers who kept going even when the path wasn't clear. Their strength in the face of challenges deserves to be met with more than recognition. It deserves to be matched with action, because that is how real community is built. Supporting military families and veterans isn't a charity, it's a responsibility.
So as a proud military spouse of 30 years, I have witnessed the unique challenges and the incredible strength of this community. Our family's journey has been profoundly shaped by life with our adult son, whose perspective of the world is distinct and uniquely his own. His diagnosis of autism and schizoaffective disorder have challenged us and required us to develop new approaches to care, advocacy, and progress. And like many families, we learned a lot about the importance of patience. To keep asking questions, to celebrate the small victories, and to advocate for what works for families like ours. There have been real challenges, the daunting maze and access to mental health care, navigating complicated systems, and at times the stigma and the silence around these experiences makes it harder to speak up. But what has helped us, and so many others, is knowing that some organizations are listening. Easterseals is one of them. They make the journey a little easier. Through their tireless advocacy and comprehensive support systems, they create communities where no one feels isolated in their struggles. Jim and I are honored to stand alongside you all in this mission. Together, we are building a brighter, more stable future for those who have given so much to our country.
And finally, to all our military advocates, partners, and supporters, the work you do is essential and makes a difference in the lives of our military families. Tonight's honor belongs to every person who has helped the veteran find their footing, covered childcare through a deployment, or simply volunteered to listen when someone just needed to be heard. That's the standard we try to live up to, not just in our official roles, but in our everyday lives. We would also like to recognize all the recipients from tonight, all the recognitions, and we have many, many others, previous recipients that are in this room. I'd like to give all of them one more round of applause. John, and the broader Easterseals, the entire community, we are incredibly grateful. And we're also grateful to be part of a community that understands the importance of holding each other up, not just once, but for as long as it takes. Thank you and good night. I'm not the only one that did this tonight.
First of all, again, thank you everyone for sticking with us tonight and for all of your generosity. So far tonight, we have raised $83,000. That is awesome, but we need to close the gap. We need at least $17,000 before we get that full match, but we're close to there. Please, I look forward to having this conversation later on when we say we raised $125,000 in the room that night, and you were a part of it. I'm looking at you. Thank you again. I invite you to come back next year. What I would like to know is if you're ready for some delicious dessert. Yes, you are. There's still time to give, but we want to give you guys a break, and we want you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening with us. There are QR codes, there's donation cards. You can talk to us about volunteering or whatever. But right now, it's time for some fun and games. So there's some games and some I mean, that sounds worse than it. It's not that kind of party, guys. But please, feel free to join us for dessert. We have amazing chocolates and key lime pie and dessert cocktails. So please join us. And there's also games, but there are games. Have a great evening. Thank you again.